It is another week of EGFC CSGO action. It's week 4 as we start things off. Marquette will take on Villanova on our first match of the day. I'm Time Delight. Joined alongside me is Tyler, as he will for every week other than next here in CSGO. Tyler, with Marquette coming in strong, how do Villanova's chances look?
Not gonna lie, might be a rough time, but Villanova, we didn't get a chance to see them last week because of all the crazy server antics between Counter-Strike and Face It being problematic in the matchmaking site. But as we're starting to get into this game, I mean, we saw that in the first week they were missing key players on the Villanova side, like internet, and so I think there were a couple missing pieces in terms of what normally made them a pretty strong team. They are, however, currently in third place over the last 3 weeks. So I'd say they have a pretty good chance of it. Marquette, obviously, traditionally very strong showing, currently undefeated, right behind DePaul with that 2 map advantage because of the bye week. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think Villanova should be able to put up a pretty good fight. But again, it is a difficult fight considering how strong Marquette generally are.
And you're also looking at UConn being involved in that top 3 conversation as well. So, heading into our game, this is Marquette's map selection. They will be starting things off on the T side. We'll move into pistol round as map 1 kicks underway. And already you can see setups are there. This is a full A execute. I'm actually curious as to where that smoke lands. I hit alt at the wrong time, but yeah, TLDR lands on the balcony, as you can see right there. And just like that, Villanova are already forced away. That's the site almost entirely gone, and with no utility to retake, it'll be a very tough 5v5 to get back onto the site.
Yeah, when it's always interesting when you see those opening rounds, or really any round where there's no casualties before the actual bomb plant goes down. But I think Vertigo is kind of one of those unique maps where with enough smokes, anything is possible. So you see that Miggs already coming up with that flank is going to find 2 easy shots. And it's going to be a quick cleanup for Marquette. So very clean, strong execution, a lot of aggression in that first round, going A as all the pros do. Not much that you can read into on the pistol side, but I did want to point out that compared to the first time that we saw Villanova all the way back in week 1, which feels like an eternity ago, we do have Rushroom back, and we've got internet, and we already saw that Cheney, a new addition to this roster this year, very strong impact. So I think Villanova has upgraded quite a bit since we saw in EGFC season 3. And again, not reading too much into the pistol round, I do think that's why they have a pretty good chance to, at the very least, make this an interesting match. But potentially, I think they have an opportunity to actually take a map or 2 off of Marquette.
Especially as Inferno's map 2. I don't know if it's going to be Vertigo, the map that Marquette is ousted on, considering how dominant they look on the outskirts of normal maps, i.e. Ancient, Nuke, and like here on Vertigo. Cheney does find the opener, so the aggression paying off early on for Marquette, and a follow-up from Vlack. That's exactly what they're looking for. 2 kills, very little damage taken in return, and not much that Marquette have to say about it. No immediate refrags, nothing doing for Marquette right off the bat. A minute gone, as are 2 of their players.
Yeah, an absolutely great result for the force buy on the Villanova side. Those MP9s can cause some real havoc at short range, as always. But Just Rich still has an AK on their side. Vlack now picking up the AK for the Villanova side has an answer to it. But we've seen just how powerful Just Rich is, especially with all those spam spots coming into the B side. But they're not expecting Vlack on the flank. He's going to find 2, maybe a 3rd. And that's a quick cleanup. Sorry, Cheney picks out 1 of those on there. So it's a 2K for Vlack on that flank. That AK doing an excellent amount of work against the team that it was originally bought by. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. That makeup and squad of Villanova, as they currently are, with kind of the full power back, has some really great opportunities.
Now look at Marquette. Well, they're broke. They can't do all that much into this round. I see a Mac 10, 2 Tech 9s, a P250, and I believe a set of dualies that actually isn't shown as a set of dualies because our overlay doesn't like us. But still, it's Villanova with a clear advantage. Winning that conversion round after buying fairly little those being just SMGs and a few pistols, whereas Marquette fully invested into those 2 Galils and 2 AKs that Villanova currently holds, means it's a clear advantage for Villanova. 1 for Kanye, 1 for Internet, a follow-up as well for Internet as they are forced to switch to the USP, but still had ammo in that Galil, but running low, wants to make sure they have more than enough, even switching out for a second Galil just for some style points. It is another Villanova round. They win 2 of the first 3, albeit in an unconventional fashion, but they'll take it every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you have an advantage, you got to take advantage. You have to capitalize as much as you possibly can on it. And I think Villanova just, clinical, normal expectations there. And Marquette, once again, just going for, you see a couple different pistols there, but otherwise not investing too much into this round. Not a lot of cash for them to do that with, so that's an easy call. And we'll expect to see them come back with AKs. And that's where it starts to get pretty scary. We know that Marquette has a lot of members of their teams that in any given map, in any given situation, can just absolutely go off and have those individual moments that make life so difficult to play against them on any map. And Marquette's been great at giving us a bunch of new maps to look at. This is the first time that we've seen Vertigo this season. And I'm excited to see what they've been doing with it. Not a lot going in their favor so far, but I think that's, again, just a huge credit to Villanova and where they're currently standing relative to where they started off the season with.
Not only that, not only starting off this season, but starting off others as well. Last season wasn't the greatest for them. They obviously had a lot to work on, and they've done so. Reshram swinging down at the bottom of the ladder. AK should be able to be retrieved by Stevo. How long they keep it in their grasp, however, well, all of 6 seconds. Maybe. Villanova making another fairly clean round, and 3 now on the board for them, as the Wildcats seem to be pouncing on every opportunity provided to them, and Marquette thus far have at least done so 3 times over. Now, full gun round. Our first real full gun round in round 5, rather than what is usually round 3 or 4. This is where Marquette need to make sure they can hold their own and almost certainly win a round.
Yeah, this is super important because if they lose this, they're back to at least a 1-round save, depending on what their comfort level and aggression is. Villanova, on the other hand, has a pretty good bank, so even if they win this, they're in a pretty good spot going into the next side. But Marquette's got to start to take away those rifles and at least make this round really expensive if they ultimately don't end up walking away with the win. And right now, Villanova just doing some poke damage. I mean, they've already got Just Rich through the wall there. Cheney finding that spam on A ramp. It's going to take one of the top players from Marquette off the board super early in the round, and the rest of Marquette is kind of sitting up looking for pokes or any peeks or anything like that they can do to return that damage. But so far, not finding purchase on anything. The Villanova team doing very good to just kind of sit back, a little bit more aggression with that opening frag onto the A ramp side, and you can see kind of that bait, that trap perhaps, and there's 2 players from the Marquette side make that one going down. Vlag finds Stevo, and he knows that there's a second one there. He's going to try to hunt for it, but wisely decides not to go back, not going to fall into the crosshair trap of the waiting Marquette player. So Villanova playing this round really well so far. They're staying conservative. They're playing safe. They're not giving anything to Marquette that they don't need to, and that's a net of them 2 kills.
No, and I'm actually really upset that Just Rich died the way he did. Down to 12 HP, sure, that one made sense. But Cheney actually found the kill because of movement inaccuracy. They were backing away while still firing. So the movement inaccuracy gave them this weird spray and the kill. Kanye, however, with movement accuracy, or the lack of movement, I suppose, providing the accuracy, and Villanova providing themselves a flawless gun round victory. Marquette, are y'all okay?
Bit of a slow start to it on their own map pick, which is surprising. And that being said, in the past, Villanova has favored Vertigo, at least as we saw in Season 3. Haven't seen as much of them this season so far because, again, some of those technical issues that we mentioned with servers last week and a forfeit previously. But, this is obviously working for them. And Marquette continuing to try to get a little information. They're just kind of standing around in the smoke, and I would have thought by now would have picked up on the spam tendencies of Villanova. I mean, they're looking for every opportunity that they can, and they continue to find that damage. And I think most importantly from last round, you can see this reflected into the bank. They didn't lose anybody. So a good conservative play from Villanova is letting them continue to build up this bank while Marquette sits there. And it's going to give them the opportunity to, waste $300 on a grenade here and there.
Yeah, Reshiram showing that he belongs in the association. Nice little shot up and over. No alley-oops will be found from Villanova. They don't need them. Just direct jump shots and easy ones at that. I suppose you could call them layups at this point. Cheney, odd crosshair, will find him 2. And a total of 5 on the half thus far. Kwanye follows up with the final kill required. Reshiram, the only one to fall in the round, unfortunately had the op, and it will not be retrieved. So the most expensive weapon possible, also the only one they could not carry over. Nonetheless, they are rich. Every single player has $5,000 or above, with now regards to a Reshiram and Kwanye, who did indeed rebuy into this round, and Villanova on their economy side, or at least looking clean and clear.
Good choices there. And now we see Marquette not waiting for the smoke, not looking for the spam. They're just running right through it. We're going to see if this is going to take over. Internet loading down, but not expecting Cheney to get the refrag there. And that's 2 for 1. Make that a 2 for 2. So this is going better for Marquette already, but just a little bit of a pixel on the edge there is going to give enough information to Vlad to take out Stevo. And that's going to leave just players from the Marquette side, 2 of them trying to attack the site as they're trying so desperately to find that. But with the bomb down, they're running out of options very quickly as their HP continues to tick down under the crosshair pressure of Villanova.
Now an Alter's being flanked as well. Sound cue heard, just turns away at the worst time. You saw through the X-ray, they turned back towards the top side of main rather than the top side of scaffolding. And as soon as they do, the scaffolding swing comes through, and Villanova now finds 6. I never thought I'd see Marquette down by 5 rounds in any map thus far this season. Even against DePaul, that should be a close map. This right here, not expected by any means, and now they're going with the old B rush. Kwanye, another wasted $300. Villanova needing to work on their nade work maybe a little bit. Flashbang over, now looking to defend the A site as a whole, or the B site as a whole. The question now remains, can they? Well shot by Alter, headshot into a body, will close Kwanye out of the round, and the site has already fallen. Not too much utility really required, and Aldines finds a follow-up. 2-man disadvantage already for Villanova. This nade will do a lot more as Aldine's low prior will fall to it. Oh.
A lot closer than previous rounds already, and certainly a lot longer. We've seen, like, as soon as those executions happen, it goes one way or the other very, very quickly. So Villanova sitting on the outside looking in right now, and the Marquette players desperately trying to find their second round, but Black coming in out of nowhere finds that 2K. Now it's going to leave just Rich. Very, very capable player in a good position overall, but there's still 3 players, including an op there. And with that extra utility, oh no, this is going to be a very difficult position and not up to the task. Vlack finds that last kill, his 4th of that round, doing an excellent amount of work for his team there and a huge pickup this season. So Villanova, I'm certainly upending the expectations that we have and doing an excellent job to keep Marquette at bay. And Marquette, I think, just kind of caught flat-footed. I don't know if they were expecting this kind of resistance. And I mean, you can't blame them because there hasn't been a lot of VOD action from them, you know, certainly without their main roster and not being able to see them last week. So, you know, the prep probably a little bit more difficult, but I don't think any of us were expecting quite this significant of a lead this early. But it is Marquette, and we can see Villanova go, you know, words that I can remember, 14-1 against Marquette here in this half, and Marquette come back and still win at 16-14. So never counting them out, just like we don't for anybody team, but huge props to Villanova for creating this 6-round league already.
And Marquette, I don't think they were even expecting the retake utility in the previous round. It's very well set up. Molotov towards the backside of oranges. Second Molotov off that top railing or top pillar that goes towards default. And there just really was not an answer for them. Just Rich now waiting at the top of scaffolding for some aggression from Villanova, but there really just hasn't been any over-aggression. Villanova have taken fights they should be taking. Molotov will force Just Rich forward, and they will win the fight. Looking for a follow-up towards default. It's Stevo to find the kill there. And finally, we're looking at a most likely Marquette round, but, you know, we've said that before. They had a 5v3 in a post-plant last time. Now, in all fairness, it's a 1v5, and Kwanye is a country mile from the site itself. This should be it. Kwanye seemingly saving over the AK, actually an op, even a little bit better. Nonetheless, a very good round for Marquette, exactly what they needed to come back from the retake that was successful prior.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example of just the right things going the right way at the right time. You know, there's not a lot to be said about it. We've seen how well Marquette operates. in a normal circumstances, those not involving acrobatics or gymnastics do a really great job of execution, keeping that clean and doing, getting a lot of those 50-50s in their favor. And in this case, Villanova has been the one coming out on top of that. So Marquette in that round with the right level of aggression and execution, able to find what was necessary and just kind of close out any opportunity that Villanova had at a quality retake, and doing excellent in terms of capitalizing on every little advantage that they might have had. So now, 2 rounds on the board. That's going to double those rounds for Marquette. We're going to see if Villanova can come back and answer that, because this could be the start of momentum for Marquette. So Villanova Internet already finding audience in that early peak, a little uncharacteristic to what they'd been doing previously. That shakeup working incredibly well for them. You already see the op being swapped out. This is going to be an excellent adjustment to their defenses, and making that a 4v5. Obviously, always going to be taken whenever possible. And Migs finding Internet right out of the corner there, going to find an opening kill for Marquette. This is I like the way this is shaping up so far.
Oh, and Cheney finds a follow-up on the Migs. You could see the switch. The reason Internet threw the op back to Kwanye was because Kwanye is more of a defensive opper. Internet wanted to find that opener and did, and immediately dropped away that op. And now, with the aggression from Marquette, they're walking straight into a stack. There's 3 players on or directly around the site itself. 2 around the Heaven position, 1 on the CT boxes. Steve-O, watching Heaven, seemingly sees the outline of a CT player, but can't definitively find the kill. And the issue now remains, where are the CTs? Villanova not showing themselves by any means, and it seems like nobody's here, but that's just the opposite. Everyone is occupying this site, a Molotov to prevent them from getting onto the site specifically. Steve-O does find one on a Cheney, but it's Vlack with a double in the follow-up. Alter left alone and another 1vx. This time it's only 3 on the opposing side. Unfortunately, a wallbang will lead to them not finding the kill, even with the op shot landing. And Marquette, again, are being undone by preparation of the Wildcats.
I'm loving this play at every second that we possibly can. And I would like to shout out Vlack here. I mean, you can see the 13-2 that he's sitting at right now hints at the story of how impactful that he's been over, most of these rounds. We had that one round where he got that 4K and they basically single-handedly shut down Marquette's attempted a counteroffensive as they were trying to come back, and has been instrumental in a lot of those cases to, if nothing else, deter the Marquette team from whatever their original plan was. And I think for the first time, we're seeing Marquette struggle here.
Not looking good for him. Migs faking the fact that it is indeed a B rush, actually trying to prep a mid-take. Restroom can't see a dang thing, but has some help. Internet will actually fall. Just Rich can't see a dang thing. Finally, as their vision comes back into frame, they'll find a follow-up. And just like that, Marquette's aggression, this time into mid, will find them 2 kills. But they just don't clear Vlack. They don't smoke off the elevator position. The due diligence just is not there. This is not the same Marquette we're seeing week in and week out. These are mistakes that Marquette does not make.
Yeah, it's certainly a more characteristic level of aggression and success that we saw there in mid. And I think because Villanova had seen so much favoritism towards one site or the other, wherever there was not a lot of split action except for a couple instances of Marquette pushing through mid there. And I think that just kind of caught them unawares there. And that obviously is something that whatever you can use the novelty of a strategy to create an advantage is super important. But I think Villanova has shown so far that they've been pretty good at adjusting to that. So now going forward, I think that this is something where Marquette, obviously in a position looking for literally anything to give them a little bit of that balance back, considering the round differential. So would be interested to see them attack mid a little bit more aggressively as they are there, and to see whether Villanova were simply caught awares there, or if that was actually like a weakness. And we see that timeout coming in, maybe discussing how they're going to manage their current financial situation, and how they might be able to play against what they may have self-identified as a potential weakness, given that their site players been enough to just slow things down, but their retake has been particularly strong. So again, Marquette looking for any of those that's going to give them those early round advantages. If they can take 1 or 2 players off the board earlier, obviously that's going to make taking a site and holding it significantly easier. But that obviously is not something that has been the opportunities given to them. And even when that is, again, we're looking at players like Vlack and Cheney and Kwanye, all respectively, I think have had some of those key retake moments. And again, Internet, traditionally one of their strongest anchor players, as we've seen, on B sites across all sorts of different maps. kind of quiet so far, just sitting at 6-5. But otherwise, it feels like they're really clicking on all cylinders here.
And the issue still remains that Marquette sometimes just don't have an answer. Villanova, you'll consistently see, are just waiting for the pushes to come through. Marquette that time around did indeed have an answer, but again, it was a mistake that was uncharacteristic for them. We'll see what they can try and bring out this time around. Sound cues will almost certainly be heard towards the bottom side of the A ramp. Black prepping a Molotov in towards main means the push is slowed. However, that smoke misses, so an opening, maybe for Marquette if they aggress. A Molotov towards sandbags is smoked off, but still a decent bit of damage done. They're just not expecting the aggression from Black, though. Aldean's taken away, Molotov up and over, but Migs finally takes away a Reshiram after that Molotov and smoke subside. But you talked about it. It's the bomb. Luckily, it's picked away, as is Black. As Migs finds a follow-up, they need to find the third, though, and, well, their third is actually being watched by a fourth.
Those kills coming in across the board for Villanova just so deadly when they see those vice start to tighten. I mean, that is just an excellent execution across the initial engagement all the way up into it. And again, it's very difficult for me to tell exactly what Marquette is struggling specifically with. It seems like, with the exception of that mid play, it's really been down to those 50-50s. Otherwise, it's been all Villanova getting the exact kills where they need to and holding quite strong in their each individual position on their bomb site anchors, and that's incredible. Great job to them so far.
It's the adjustment to the adjustment to the adjustment. It's a game of 4D chess, and Marquette thus far have been checked about 6 times. Not mate by any means, and even then, even if mate is found, there's a whole nother game to play. But still, you've basically sacrificed your queen, being 6 rounds down in the first half, especially in the T side of Vertigo, of your own map selection, no less. Cheney, wallbang into the leg of Just Rich will do about 80 damage. Migs will find one in mid, not expecting the second. Keep an eye on that, top left of your screen. Migs falls. Kwanye there for the redundancy, and Villanova find the trade.
Really like that adjustment in mid, being a little bit more aggressive, but keeping to there. That buddy system has been so critical to the Villanova success on all of these bomb sites, and Marquette still trying to find any information that they can. They're like literally looking anywhere that you might be able to find a pixel, and Villanova just not giving any of that, is continuing to put themselves in a conservatively very strong position, and Marquette got to be feeling frustrated right now. Oh my god, that peaky timing. They're doing so well with that.
Villanova somehow have a grandfather clock, and Gaben is the grandfather that oversees it. Marquette do find one to aggress. Dean's traded upon, though. Overall, 2 for 2 as they aggress onto the site. Lucky that that shot misses, but a Molotov on towards the site, actually a nade, will do damage, just not find a kill. Steve-O left alone, dropped by Cheney, not wasting any time on the retake, and Villanova find double digits in the first half. If I didn't see the player names on either side, I would have checked Lexigrind, because I thought I would have switched the teams.
Yeah, that's the exact sentiment I think most people would bring into this. So again, Villanova just doing an excellent job. I don't think we can say that enough in terms of the subversion of our expectations here. And Marquette forced back into this position of just upgraded pistols, trying to make something happen in this, and they're hopefully looking at a 10-5 for their sake. And CT, we've always talked about that. There's a slight advantage to it, a little bit more opportunity to kind of control what the terrorist side is doing, but right now it's all Villanova.
All Villanova all the time. That's the biggest point around it. Flash towards mid will clear out construction, but Kwanye avoids it. Hides behind the sandbags, makes sure they can play anti-flash, immediately peeks around, and finds a kill. Even a follow-up as well. Migs headshot and dead. 2 versus 5 with 2 deagles and a combination of 108 HP. Not looking all that good for Marquette up against almost 500 HP with full weaponry and full armor, along with a whole lot of utility across the board on the defensive side.
One thing that I noticed is a really stark contrast from last season. I think Kwanye specifically, has some great moments. Steve-O finding that opening kill on Reshiram, finds 2, almost a third. Dang, Steve-O almost brings back that round, but unfortunately, the stalwart wall that is Villanova right now just cannot be broken.
I have seen probably one of the better chats of minor trash talk in Twitch chat. Nova decided to turn on their monitors this season. I love it. That is quality. And looking at how they've been playing, it seems like the game sense has always been there. Just this season, at least in this game, it looks like the aim is as well. As is the all-important team play. Just Rich finds a good timing. Kwanye will be cleared out of mid. And a Molotov to follow up alongside a smoke will clear out that elevator position. And they have full mid control, looking to aggress on towards this B side. Just Rich still wants to push, but instead of over-aggressing, Marquette will slowly take their time and instead take the site and play around their strengths.
You can see a little bit of that aggression from Villanova being punished by audience as he sits in that mid position. So this is working out better for Marquette than we've seen across the board, and they are almost in contention for that 11-4. Biggs unable to find that success against Black, and it's going to leave them to 2v2.
Internet switches the 5-7. Doesn't even need the M4, and twice over we'll find back-to-back kills. Marquette, even with that advantage, are cut away. The flank from behind, unfortunately not found onto Vlak, leaving the site itself susceptible to the aforementioned flank. And Villanova University make it a 12-3 half against the technically number 1 seeded Marquette. I say technically because of round differential and the fact they've had a bye. But still, that looks like a more realistic scoreline when you look at the top of the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge opening for Villanova. Love to see them finding that success and really putting themselves in that conversation for being in the top 3 with the Marquettes and with the DePauls, who, as we talked about every single week, have just been absolutely dominant over the last season when we first introduced CSGO into the league and we came back. So it's just been absolutely phenomenal. And one point that I was trying to make before we started to see Marquette attempts at a comeback is that specifically Kwanye, who'd been kind of hot and cold a lot of last season, seems with these new players, specifically in the sort of confidence and skill that come with Vlak and Cheney coming into the roster, and Internet, a little bit of the pressure taken off them in terms of their traditional frag place, seems to have given him more confidence. So overall, I feel like there's a little bit of a difference in mentality as they're playing through this. And I think that's the same for the rest of the team across the board. And again, they're just clicking really well. And obviously the rounds speak for themselves in those results.
Well, a tech pause. You're going to go back to our cameras for 2 seconds while I totally don't open the command prompt in the game and make sure that things are indeed functioning.
Just having a moment.
We're talking. Apparently, the skins are not disabled in the game, so Vlak and company will exit the game, change their skins back to default, because usually in competitive they should be. I'm surprised that's not basic. That should be a default setting. I don't know about that one. Anyway, they'll get that fixed, and we'll move on to get the second half underway. Hence the reason it just said pause and not X timeout, because it's a tech kind of pause. There you
go. That it is. So as we're looking at the second half, we have not seen Villanova playing from the T side on Vertigo so far this season. We haven't seen them on CT, but obviously that worked out pretty well. Marquette, I mean, they tried fast, they tried slow. Those battles are just not going their direction. What sort of adjustments do you think is going to be most important, or what circumstances do you think are going to be most important for them coming into this first round of the second half?
I think Marquette really just needed to take a page out of Villanova's book. I didn't think that would be on my script thus far this season, but looking at how Villanova played their CT side, it was very strong, and not only the fact they played around their trades, but they played around their strengths, and that being in geographical locations on the map. Playing scaffolding, playing aggressive around that A main / catwalk position. They tried to hold mid as much as they could. If they lost it, they backed away and played for another fight, rather than over-aggressing in disadvantageous fights. That's exactly what they needed. That's exactly what they were looking for, that I don't think Marquette found as much. Yeah, in occasional scenarios you saw answers, but that was only full gun rounds, and only pre-prepped, of which Villanova, the following round, immediately had an answer for. So Marquette, A, need to be flexible, B, need to be dynamic, and C, need to play as a team, because in the first half, we just did not see that.
Great points all around. And it really, I think, is going to be, it's hard to put this amount of weight onto a particular, moment in a game. But at a 12-3 scoreline, if Marquette don't come away with this pistol round, those chances drop precipitously in their ability to actually make something happen. And we see Villanova not wasting any time going in for that aggression, and Marquette already on the rotation is going to try their hardest to fight this. Audience finding that first one, but Resham with the immediate trade. These are going so far in Marquette's favor, but Villanova on the bomb site getting ready to put that down.
Look at Villanova just trying to hold W. Just Rich is now left in a 1 versus 2. Has to look 2 different ways, and because of it, Internet finds the final kill. Villanova forcing Marquette with just single fire weaponry to completely split their attention. They didn't even need the bomb. It was left in T-spawn, yet still find the first round of the half. They find the all-important T-sided pistol, albeit Marquette did the same. That was one of their 3 rounds, but they also lost the follow-up. That seems significantly less likely here for Villanova, as they are playing this one aggressive, and as a team, they want to snuff out Marquette, and for some reason, Just Rich is walking around with a knife. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that MVP line, but Just Rich brought a knife to a gunfight.
A little bit of a moment, we'll call it. Not good, not bad, just a moment. And Villanova feeling that aggression, just running through, steamrolling over the Marquette team, not in a position to really take more beyond that. So Villanova just absolutely steamrolling everything that's being thrown at them by Marquette on both sides of the map. So Marquette now down 14-13. Maybe they're considering it like, hey, this map is kind of out of pocket for us now, so let's talk about what we can do on Inferno coming up. But they've got a lot to talk about. But at the same time, every round is super important, so I hope that they're not, taking it as lightly as they could. But Black doing such an excellent job taking out 3 before falling to that stack in mid, and another quick round, and that's 15 on the board for Villanova.
12 rounds between Marquette and overtime. They need to be consecutive, and as a wise comedian once said, that means one right after the bleep other. That goes back to Tiffany Haddish and talking about, I don't know, some movie. I forget the movie name. Nonetheless, Marquette need to consistently win. And up against Villanova, that already seems difficult. Jump from Kanye. This is their bonus round, by the way. They lose here. They should still be able to mostly buy. The opener does go Villanova's way as well. Steve-O taken off the board. Does do a decent bit of damage, but it's not really going to matter if you don't have the rest of your team to follow up on it. Aldines is holding mid. This is a good look for Villanova, but only if you can find the kill. Aldines has lost the element of surprise and, well, not lost the fight, but certainly put themselves in a disadvantageous position. Marquette will have a 3v5 retake with very little utility and an up, and they're not even near the site.
Very, very impressive continued presence from Villanova, and it looks like they might have this one in the bag. Marquette has to find some answer to it. I mean, this is their last chance to do so, but Vlack finding Oct28, that 1-for-1 trade is not going to be enough to secure it for Marquette. Still a lot of work for these two players, and that time almost running out.
I don't think they're going to have time either. Ultra will get the kill and then run away and save the KD. Even with the kit, there's just not enough time. That'll be the map. Marquette University have lost their own map pick. You heard me correctly. Marquette University lost their own map pick of Vertigo 16-3. If you told me this map was going to end 16-3, I would have agreed with you. I would have told you, sure, yeah, Marquette's going to walk away with dominance. We're going to go to Inferno, and Villanova's going to be playing from behind onto their own map pick. No, not the case. Not by any means. What a shocker. Very well done, Villanova.
Absolutely. Again, we knew kind of as we were talking coming into this that we had a lot of opportunity for Villanova with those powerful pieces in place to make it competitive. I don't think that we expected it to be dominant, certainly not in that favor. So as we've been saying, huge congrats to Villanova and Marquette. I mean, I think for them, the not being in that position of playing from behind often certainly plays to, I think, the mentality that comes into dealing with all those circumstances. And generally, I mean, they've been pretty level-headed, but when you start to try to throw things at a wall and it feels like you're just continuing hitting a brick wall that doesn't want to move, that can get pretty tilting. So they tried a lot of different things, weren't able to find success, but now we have the opportunity to reset, see what happens on Inferno. A lot more opportunity between the two to try to figure out what they did wrong, where they can continue to build on, and hopefully Marquette finds whatever that magic bullet is, because I would love to see something that goes as close to some of those matches that we saw last season across those top 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't think I was going to be doing was crossing off on my little bingo card, Marquette L. Wow, that's it's not something I was expecting. Maybe against Paul, maybe against UConn, especially after week one. Villanova come in with a shocker. They come across as a team that is to be reckoned with, or depending on whether you'd like to win or not to be reckoned with, especially with the addition of Cheney, at least to the consistent roster, Internet coming back into the fray. The consistency that Villanova was looking for last season has now come back. We'll see if it continues for them as quite literal consistency to see if they can 2-0 Marquette, or if it will be a 1-1 split when we come back from the break. A map 1 victory for Villanova University on Marquette University's map pick of Vertigo sends us to Inferno with the underdogs up a map. We'll look to see if they can make it a 2-0 sweep or if it is indeed a 1-1 split of the series, of course, into Inferno. I'm timed late. Joined alongside me is Viking, and Viking, does the sweep happen?
I mean, the way that Villanova played on that last map, like it is certainly within the realm of possibility. I think what it really comes down to is I would expect, I haven't seen who's in the lobby yet, but I expect Marquette has
Same
made
people.
some personnel changes as they normally do.
Same
They
people.
didn't? Are they sticking with the same people? All
Yeah,
right.
their
So I think
roster
that
currently consists of. Oh no, hold up. Oxygen's in. Audine's is out. So you
all
have
right.
one
So
change, but the face it level not so much.
a little bit of an opportunity then with the personnel switch there, but I think what it really comes down to is how much the intensity, the scope of their last map loss weighs on them coming into this round. I think traditionally we've seen them being able to shake off quite a bit. I mean, when we've seen them play against DePaul, when they played against Maris last season, there's a couple instances where they were down or playing from behind, and it really came down to their ability to kind of take a breath, come back into it, and really perform the best that they possibly can. So this time they have the benefit of starting off on the CT side. So let's see what Marquette can do as we get into this pistol round.
Pistol kicking underway. As you mentioned, Marquette CT side, it has to be a successful one for them. They start off with a disadvantage, and Villanova walk onto the disadvantageous side with a clean and clear lead. That's when they're going to start playing from behind. 5-7's been retrieved by Internet. They were dangerous with it in the previous map. I see no reason as to why that would change here. It is still a 2-2 split for Marquette. They make the correct decision going back to B. However, Justrich, the incorrect decision. They are reaggressing in towards A through Speedway, and Miggs is being aggressed upon. Does have armor, has absolutely no utility to help, though. Needs to find a headshot, will find one. Looking for a second, not so much. Actually does find Cheney just before falling. I'm talking milliseconds between the two deaths. And Oxygen will find another. It's down to Rushroom in a 1v3 for Pistol.
You never know what can happen in a pistol round, but I think once you had to redirect a few times like that, giving some of those openings for those quick picks, it can be significantly more challenging. And Oxygen there with that dynamic crosshair taking out Restroom to close out the round for Marquette. So definitely the opening that they're start for that's going to build a little bit of that confidence back up from what we saw on Vertigo. And we'll see if Villanova here can pull the repeat. I mean, obviously Marquette won the first pistol on the last map. Villanova came back and dominated for the remaining rounds of that entire game. So we'll see if this time they can change their fortunes a little bit.
Utility in here for Villanova. It seems like long is the call. They didn't want to walk through the Molotov, though, so they're still going to head in that general direction, just a few seconds delayed. Here's the push on towards the B side. Justrich up top will find only one. It's down to the aggression, and unfortunately, just down to Miggs, who does have 2 HP, but also has the M4, of which has now found 2 kills. Alter from CT will find a follow-up, and Miggs, as they run out of ammo, luckily do not run out of HP, and it is Marquette to pick up the conversion round victory. I do want to address something really quick. You were talking about the dynamic crosshair of Oxygen. This is what that looks like, by the way. It shrinks as they switch to the melee weapon, but you can see how large it is and how small it shrinks when they're not moving. Justrich also has an unconventional one. They have now switched, actually. In the previous map, it was large and green with a center dot. Now it's just tiny and maybe green. Kind of looks cyan, though. So maybe he's switching some things up. I don't know.
I feel like we're not talking enough about Cheney's crosshair, which seems to just cover an entire football field worth of the screen.
This is what I was thinking of. I thought this was Justrich's. My bad. My bad.
I mean, to each their own. They all serve their purposes, but that Molly gonna get a pretty reasonable amount of damage for that $600 investment there. One player from the Marquette side already off the board, and Villanova taking a little bit more damage, and again slowing down in that B position. Justrich and Miggs doing an excellent job of locking down that aggression and not allowing for any of those early round rushes to create significant opportunities for them. We can see that Marquette side starting to play a little bit cheating towards A, because obviously that is a site that requires a couple more players to keep under lock. But so far, so good. Not a lot of movement. Villanova making a choice to start moving in but not enough to really trigger that reaction from Marquette side. You can see them continuing to creep up on Banana, but otherwise, no real action happening. They're just kind of sitting there waiting to see if they're going to get another opportunity from Marquette peeking in the wrong position. And I don't know. They're just hanging out there, waiting for it, seeing what happens.
Unfortunately, it's only Migs on the site itself. Migs does find one, the aggression now in. Migs finds a follow-up, again a multi-frag, in a situation they probably should have only found a single, but bomb will be planted. It'll be a 3v3 retake, one in through mid, one from CT, the other from construction, albeit delayed, and there is an Opt2 delay, long range, looking for the kill. It's a restroom to find oxygen, so now only 2 avenues of attack, and Kwanye is waiting, and Banana will swing at an unexpected time, but Stevo actually finds the kill, with the FAMAS no less. Flax reposition will be heard, unfortunately just not seen early enough, and Stevo being on 3 HP, well, a little bit of overkill, with the Opt doing 110 damage to a 3 health opponent. Nonetheless, it's Villanova to deny the bonus round, and Marquette forced to reinvest into the 4th, of which I don't think they have the cash to do so.
Yeah, I like that answer from Villanova, able to, I think, just find those rotations a little bit more strongly. You know, it took a little bit longer for them to get set up, but I think that what they realized is Marquette has really good utility usage, generally speaking, and they use that to its fullest extent possible, you know, trying to stretch out sequencing those mollies or those smokes with the second smoke and all that kind of stuff to make something happen. And Migs finding that a Cheney over there on wood is going to give them just a little bit, if nothing else, of compensation for an otherwise very safe buy in the sense of just a couple upgraded pistols. So getting their money's worth from that scout has got to feel pretty good.
Restroom finding the kill and adjust rich. A lot of help from internet though to take them down. The aggressive upping from a restroom doesn't find the kill into Migs, who does take a shot and backs away. Second attempt here from Migs. They are flashed off the angle, and they are well aware of the fact that it's a scout on the other side of that rather than op, so no one-shot body shot potential from the lesser of the 2 scoped rifles, and unfortunately, I think that should be the round as well. Migs forced off the angle, smoke down as well. Villanova get the bomb down and dropping Migs in the process. 1v4 for Oxygen with a Deagle and a Dream.
Sometimes that's all you need, and those Deagles can be pretty dangerous, but it does seem like the general circumstances are going to favor another round going to Villanova. We'll see how aggressive they get on that position, trying to bait out that shot from the Deagle. Restroom's going to put it close to that a little bit before the bomb goes off, and Villanova's going to equalize this. So Marquette finding some success in their first real buy round of it, certainly you know, set up the kind of expectation that at least the bomb site on the B side is closed for business. But Villanova coming back with that delayed 3rd round tactic, doing an excellent job, taking advantage of that bonus round, as you put it before. And so 2-2, Marquette's going to come back. They don't have anywhere near the amount of utility, but they do have Alter with that opt. They're going to find Black, who had so many kills in that first half. Just to find this the second. This is looking at a much stronger opener for Marquette.
Not only that, but they're forcing Villanova away. I'll say that, and then Oxygen dies, so kind of my bad, Oxygen. Didn't mean to cast Curse you there. Stevo does see one, has the M4A4 in hand rather than the A1S, so their whereabouts certainly known. Kwanye's, well, not anymore, considering they're 6 feet under. Still a 4 versus 2, Marquette still with the advantage, but if Villanova was to go now, they'd certainly have a shot at this round. Migs has been forced off the CT angle, and there's only really help around towards new boxes, but they're waiting a little bit too long, and Migs has been allowed to reaggress. This should be a relatively clean crossfire, and Marquette will almost certainly win the round off of it.
Ooh, all that spam almost gives them the advantage. Migs not finding a connection, but a great flash is going to catch Cheney out in the middle of that grill area. Huge individual effort from the Marquette captain, putting them up on their 3rd round and trying desperately to hold on to this lead. This is much closer than we saw in that first round, or that first map, excuse me. And huge props to Marquette for not letting it get to that and continuing to put up that defense.
Their CT side showing the way it needs to. We do need another follow-up from them, or anybody who's voting. I was going to say rooting and voting at the same time. It's voting, apparently. Anybody who's voting for Marquette needs them to find a follow-up here. Aggressive opting again, internet falls. Again, the opener goes to Marquette. And again, I'll say it again, Villanova do not have an answer. Very well timed nade. Only does about 30 damage. Any second later will do even more. Unfortunately, not the case. Oxygen trying to refrag will find one onto Kwanye, who was stuck at the top of Boiler Stairs. And Oxygen's actually able to reaggress back towards that balcony position. A double with the MP9, and Marquette back into a 4 versus 2, just like our previous round.
Yeah, I'm not to favor one team or the other, but after the significant difference that we saw in that second one, I am excited to see a more lively Marquette finding some success and challenging Villanova's dominance coming off of Vertigo. So Villanova not out. I mean, we've seen obviously what their players can do just from the last, we'll call it 22 rounds that we saw them playing or so. And Cheney, Reshram certainly able to play, but Cheney so far pretty quiet on this side. I mean, the same thing has been called for Internet. Those are two of the players that we called out as sort of their impact players in different times. Vlack certainly being one of the biggest in the first map. But otherwise, Internet on 0 kills so far, not able to find that first connection. And Cheney relatively quiet, but this is potentially their first opportunity to really shine through.
Retake coming in. Cheney. First shot misses. Second attempt as they swing the corner. It's 3 different avenues of attack. Cheney does find the kill, but is dinked. It may not matter, though. And an op on the retake certainly disadvantageous. Reshram not cleared, and Cheney stays alive. They pop off when they need. They find the kills required. And it's Villanova to find the follow-up. Marquette again are cut away. And now, Villanova, at this point, right back in it.
Yeah, this is again something where seeing Villanova come through from that first round, it was you always kind of expect there to be a little bit of residual confidence that comes from the I don't know, the adrenaline that you build up when you have something so successful. It keeps everybody a little bit looser, is going to make a lot of those calls a little bit easier, and we can see Villanova well practiced on this map, looking for some of those off angles, trying to make it a little bit easier. And Internet just taking off Mig's head. He got a little bit of aggression, trying to make whatever value they could out of those pistols. But so far, not finding any purchase on that. The rest of the Marquette team playing more conservatively. We can see that Alter is kind of cheating and playing that speedway position to expect that maybe something's going to happen towards the ace site. But now that Villanova is aware that there's just some upgraded pistols on the side of Marquette, they're going to inch towards that B bomb site. There's not going to be any utility that's going to create any problems for them. So they're going to line up for this execute. And with only 2 players from the Marquette side, as the execution starts to come in, it's looking kind of difficult for their side. But Just Rich not going down to those initial shots is going to give them another shot at life with that Deagle, looking for any impact they create. Not going to be enough. Internet funds Just Rich off the bottom of the site. That's going to give them full control over the B site, but Alter there to find one on the cross. Going to make this a 3-4 situation for Marquette, trying to do whatever damage they possibly can. They know they're just on pistols against AKs, and that op, that nade is going to be the end of Alter and potentially of the general aggression from Marquette. But Kwanye finds 2 players from Marquette side trying to flank from spawn. A little bit of a duel between the 2 of them is going to net Oxygen one more kill as Kwanye tries to escape but isn't quite able to do so. Cheney trying to go on the hunt, going to take away that last upgraded pistol. That Deagle no longer on the play. Villanova, one more win on the board, a little bit of freebie there with the upgraded pistols, but that opening kill onto Migs is making a huge impact in terms of their ability to suss out that information and cautiously but confidently make their way onto the B bomb site, get that down, and now they're in a great position as it relates to their financial situation and their ability to buy back if necessary. But it seems like this Villanova team is not interested in giving up anything that they do not need to. Migs getting more aggressive, switching up over into that ace site, able to find Vlack, again, one of those impact players that we talked about, but immediately answered by Cheney. Going to give them a little bit of pause potentially now that they've sensed that Marquette is changed up the way that they play, where they're playing Oxygen now playing over on this B site, going to be on those first orange stacks, waiting for somebody to push through. Cheney only on 9 health. It's going to be limited in their capability to really contain that impact, especially what we've seen so far. But maybe they'll be the difference. I mean, we've seen some pretty crazy stuff from them before.
The aggression onto the site, a little crazy here for Villanova. A is indeed the call. They swing on, but the only really avenue of attack is straight into both players, both of which fall. Alter and Stevo, yes, they find one apiece, but it's only one, and the site going down. Internet on 100, Kwanye on 48. The retake certainly set up here, but another smoke towards the library side will slow it down for an extra 15 seconds. That'll give them about 10 to 12 to get on that bomb and start the defusal. Both of them have a kit, and there is utility available for the retake, but Marquette, if they're going to go, they need to start going now.
Like they've got that backup that retake utility. Oh, just for just a few steps in the wrong direction. Oof. That's a tough position, especially in what could have been a very strong retake position with the utility they still had.
Watch this. I'm gonna hit my command prompt, and it's gonna say 1G right here. Yep.
Wow, it's like magic.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, Just Rich. Unfortunately, not knowing where the bomb was, Molotov'd off the correct position, of which actually forced them out of position, but forced yourself back into that same exact spot when you didn't know it. That one hurts just a little bit. Villanova win the round off the back of it. I think they were going to win the round anyway. Marquette took a little bit too long to re-aggress onto the site there, especially with a smoke up. At that point, just aggress from the other side and then aggress late on the front as well. Kwanye, decent shots through onto unarmored opponents, though. This should be a relatively clean Marquette round victory, or Villanova round victory. My pipe dreams are showing. And... well, with just across the board. Internet finds one. Migs on the other side, though. 5-7 only finds one as well. That'll be it. It's really down to whether Vlak keeps their AK on this far side of the map or not.
Oh, that ding is going to spell opportunity for the Marquette side, who, with a little bit of armor on Oxygen, probably worth saving that and just trying to, take whatever money they can out of this round, given that it's already been pretty expensive. But that being said, Kwanye coming out of the church position takes out whatever was left, saving. So that P250, not a huge loss for Stevo there as they try to pick something up. Definitely a missed opportunity on Vlak there. That initial dink took him down to a position where if that refrag was there, it was definitely possible. But that leaves Marquette without the benefit of having taken away any of those weapons. But Marquette coming back with the buys, you see the ops on the board. That's going to be probably the make or break in this position if I had to really guess, because Alter, one way or the other, has had a lot of impact. But as I say that, losing a lot of health already to the aggressive plays from Villanova, pushing into that under pit position.
So Alter's just evening the playing field. They have an op, so everybody else is one shot. Everybody else doesn't have an op, so they have to become one shot. It's all fair in love and war, and these teams, ever so the sportsmen, will allow that to be the case. Smoke around towards the main position will slow down any semblance of a push. Nice Molotov towards pit. That actually is towards Alter, if I am correct. No, instead, it's around towards Oxygen, who falls as they aggress. Stevo from the top side of balcony only finds one, but Alter's there for another refrag. And the entirety of this A push is collapsed. Doesn't exist anymore. Nobody on that side of the map. A CT smoke is good, albeit the smoke is, just the position, not so much. Both players here for this Marquette defense are around towards new boxes. Molotov is smoked off. They have to clear out new box, and they may think that's where the only player lies. Cheney finds a double kill, one of them onto his teammate, the other onto the opponent of Just Rich. But it's 13 HP versus 16, and Alter has not seen Cheney cross. They may think they're a false sense of security towards the banana position. The pistol out is correct, but they just do not know where Cheney's gone off to, and that may indeed be their downfall.
Oh, but I don't think Cheney knows that Alter made it onto the site either, so this is as 50-50 as it can get. Oh, Alter, look back the other way, buddy.
No, that's it. He can't stick it. He doesn't have the HP. The spray, not landing. Second attempt. There you go. Cheney lands it. Alter didn't have the HP, and, well, even if they did, headshot would have ended their life. Head armor, 100 HP, or not. Neither of which were the case, but headshot found regardless. Very well put together round from Villanova, albeit the A-side aggression was really just more of a bait to try and get on towards B, and Cheney very lucky that they were able to clutch that one out considering the team kill, but it's still a round victory, and it's still 7-3, and again, a situation where Marquette probably should have a little bit more, if not a clear advantage.
Very impressive. And I did say for the record, the make or break was going to be Alter, and that is indeed what it came down to. And Villanova cleaning up very nicely there. Going to lose 1 and we'll call it 80% of another player coming away from that with just 1 rifle to show for it. But they're back on that rifle again. They just wanted to get that out of the way, get back on it. And this is looking pretty familiar here, TTL.
I'm getting some Vujade. I always wait for the reaction, and I intentionally mess that one up. Reshram timing shot into Oxygen as they swing. The smoke plumes a little bit late on that one. Shaney around the backside at T-Apps actually finds a double. Migs and Stevo none the wiser as the aggression from the far side of the map means Villanova now have the 4 versus 2. We've seen Marquette be undone with the 2-man advantage and 2 players left alive in their own right, but Alter's shadow is seen, and that is indeed their downfall, or at least the reason for it. Marquette will fall in this round. Villanova will make it a 9-3 scoreline again, as it was in the previous map, and it's just the manner in which they do so. They will do so with 4 players alive. Again, a clean round for the Wildcats.
Incredibly clean and dominant, and Marquette just doesn't seem to have been able to find the answer. I mean, we see that individually speaking, you know, players like Migs and to a lesser degree, his teammates have been able to find some of those opening kills, kind of stall things a little bit as Villanova pushes into one side or the other, but it hasn't been enough to completely deter them, or they're just losing out to the re-aggression by the team. But Alter doesn't need the op, needs the scout apparently. That's going to find Black again in that scout position. I think that's the 2nd or 3rd time that particular matchup has gone in their direction. So that's going to give a little bit of courage to Marquette. That was an excellent spot. So we're going to see what they can find there. Reshram trying to get through that wall is actually going to take a little bit of health off of his pal Internet, and those kneecaps are all but gone.
Towards B they go. Just Rich with 1. Looking for a follow-up. May actually be able to find it, but luckily does not swing, at least luckily for Wildcat fans out there. Kwanye, the re-aggression up towards A, is correctly timed. Unfortunately, looks away at the worst time. And tactical first-person shooters and timing, always indeed somebody's undoing. For some reason, walking straight through a smoke is Migs. I don't know if that was as calculated as they thought it was. And Marquette have gone from 5v3 with weapon advantages to now a 4v3 with weapon disadvantages. And the question now remains, do they have the possibility of pulling this one off? A little bit of help with the Internet missing a flash. Villanova's utility, a little lackluster as per usual in this series. But, well, they may not need it, because Just Rich is dead anyway.
Continuing to come back in that Villanova confidence. They're pushing in. Oh, the reload. Poor timing. Could have been another kill. It doesn't matter. Finds Oxygen. So Alter left with that scout. I mean, already I think kind of outperforming the expectations of the equipment that they had available there, but Internet able to find that distance kill. Takes Alter off the board. That scout out of his hands. So, I mean, Marquette seems to be coming to this position where they're able to continue to find these moments, these actions that I think in most circumstances would give them the advantage and the confidence. So it's not whether it's an opening kill or, you know, shutting down an aggression with mollies or whatever. And, you know, that's giving them, I assume, a little bit of that confidence, but somewhere in between that and some of those late aggressions, it's just not happening. And Black coming out, this continued saga of Black versus Alter in mid, I think now is maybe 2 for 1 in favor of Alter. So, you know, they're continuing to really put their mark on this map.
Shaney quick swing will find another. 4 versus 3 again here for Villanova as you really look at how this is played out for Marquette. It's not looking good. Just Rich, swing with the op, will find 1. Oxygen the other op as it stands for Marquette, but I don't think they're aware of the flank. They are seemingly looking in that direction, just not expecting Black so close, and because of their close range and close proximity, the op will fall. At least it's dropped into Black's possession, and Villanova now have B-site control, and again, the lurk pays off. CT smoked off. Migs in a 1v3 this time around, looking to fight for probably the map. If this goes 12-3 again, which it most certainly will if they lose this round, you're looking at Marquette again having to come back, just now it's on the T side.
Very unexpected result. I mean, I knew, obviously, we knew looking at that first round that Villanova is certainly feeling themselves in terms of just how well they've performed across the board. These refrags in these positions, like they have to feel so safe on the Villanova side going into these aggressive positions, knowing that their teammates have their backs. They've been finding a lot of those opening kills, creating a lot of opportunities and openings just across pretty much everything. And Marquette, again, finding moments of clarity and decisive advantage one way or the other, but just not ultimately able to close on that. Again, is super uncharacteristic for this team across really any situation.
No way.
Oh no.
Justrich again has been caught out through a smoke. This time, not their fault by any means, albeit smokes are not walls, but still. A Reshiram just takes a timing shot, pulls it out of their nether regions, and is like, oh yeah, have an opening kill, me, and then finds it. Kwanye, lucky to be alive, avoids the scout shot of Alter. Still looking to aggress up through mid is Villanova, but this is such a clean and clear round for them. Kwanye is going to line up that A left side utility just to fake out the fact that it's A, and, well, actually, Vlak seemingly is the fake this time around. The lurk towards B, baiting out a rotation. There's a swing towards A short. One, looking for a second. Stevo does find the kill, but is on 9 HP and only has a deagle. I say only, hold the phone. It's now a 2 versus 2. They've dropped the bomb, they've retrieved an op, and on 9 HP, that could make the difference. Luckily, for Villanova, it does not. So Oxygen will be forced to retake with an AK, full armor, and a kit. Just no utility, and not a whole lot of time to work with. As the bomb is planted now, they will start their retake at about the 35-second mark of that bomb timer.
Kind of a 50-50 here. Oxygen new to the team in terms of like what we've seen, and as you've seen coming, as you said, coming in for audience, is a high pressure situation. That bomb taking away, gonna find at least where one of those players is, but not able to connect as he stands up on that bite position. Gonna come in towards site. He's gonna find the second one. So now it's just down to this 1v1. He knows he's in pit. He's gonna find the angle, or his internet gonna be able to sit. He's in little pit right now. Sees the head cross, knows where he's gonna be, and he goes for the fake plant. It's gonna be just the wrong misstep. Oxygen unable to close it out against internet, who stayed calm, cool, and collected. So Villanova 12-3, another dominant map for them.
Not only that, but it's 10 straight rounds. 12-3, sure, but 10 straight rounds. That means 5 minimum gun rounds went their way. I think it was up to 7, including 2 prior to the streak. They lost a single gun round. 1. That is all in the first half. Villanova are looking so dominant in this map, and pistol round will almost certainly end the map if it goes their way. Internet gets aggressive, finds a gush and the headshot finish onto Oxygen, already finding the opening kill. Cheney through the smoke will find a follow-up. It is still a 4 versus 3, so Marquette by no means out of the round, but still with a disadvantage and no B control with that flank set up by Vlak. It means they have to go, and well, now is a better time than ever, and Alter's dead.
Not over till it's over. Just Rich finding the head of internet. It's going to give them one of those kills back. I mean, a little bit closer to the equalization, but Kwanye being able to push up into mid. Going to take out Miggs. Just Rich, just him the entire match on his shoulder, likely at this point. Vlak sitting there at the bottom is going to find him. They're not able to quite connect. Oh, and he escapes with his life. I can't believe that. Now Just Rich, just on his own, has to find and clear every single possible angle. I don't think he knows if Cheney's on this site or not, but he's very slowly working himself into library, and Vlak already setting himself up to be aware of what might happen, and whether or not he's expected to be there remains to be seen. But as we see the final 30 seconds of this round, it is just a huge amount of effort on Just Rich's shoulder to get this far, and whether he can close it out right now is huge importance in terms of the consequences for the match overall.
Don't know if he clears barbecue. The chicken may give away Vlak's position. If it goes too close and Vlak moves more than 4 steps while standing up, the chicken will run away in terror. It's a weird game knowledge thing, but, well, it's not really going to matter. Vlak will swing, actually miss the shot, but there's just not enough time. Will not plant the bomb, and actually will not survive either. It really would have been adding insult to injury if Vlak ended up finding the kill after time on pistol round. That would have been rubbing it in. Nonetheless, it is Villanova winning the pistol, and unfortunately Just Rich not acing means Villanova are 3 away from closing out the series.
Just absolutely clinical from Villanova, not making any mistakes, not doing anything that's going to give an unnecessary advantage over to Marquette, and just winning these battles decision to be aggressive here paying off for them. Cheney already finding that first one and forcing Marquette to play all the way from their own spawn, just trying to find some security in their ability to push out. You can see Internet's already all the way back to where they actually spawn. No player is safe from that Villanova aggression. Those MP9s doing absolute work, building up the bank of that Villanova side, and this is going to be the end of this round very quickly. That took, I think, less than 30 seconds total, and that's got to feel bad if you're on the receiving end of that.
Sorry, I blinked more than twice. Could you tell me what happened in that round, considering how short it was? Villanova just dominating. Cheney's gonna buy an op. Oh my goodness. Yeah, instead of playing bonus round with SMGs across the board and playing for long-term security, we're up by 11 rounds. Why not? Let's just buy an op, see if it works. Nade up mid doesn't land. MP7 on Reshiram. Everybody else with the MP9, so one caveat to the MP9 cross team. Molotov and a flash, trying to initiate a peek up towards the top of Banana, but Marquette not trying, at least not that much early on. Smoke will land correctly. Whatever, Cheney. Steve-O needs to go buy a lottery ticket. Considering how unlucky they've been in this game, they can't be more unlucky outside of it. Oxygen, nice adjustment, will find Kwanye, so at least the refrag is there. But Steve-O, you just feel so bad for Marquette players when they just get cut off through smokes by an op.
Absolutely. And it's, I mean, we're a little bit more balanced than what we were just looking at before, right? But, you know, at least in terms of the weaponry side and the starting positions of both of these after the first minute, feeling a lot more reasonable. But Marquette's got to be so careful here. I mean, they're playing literally on a knife's edge. Villanova at their 14th round. I mean, one mistake here is going to put them on game point, and already incredibly difficult position to come back from gets that much harder. It's just an exponential change. They do have the advantage of, you know, having AKs over the MP9s, but you can see here Villanova forcing these smaller positions, not having a lot of refrag power on the Marquette side, and Oxygen is just not able to connect. Reshiram is going to be able to take out 2 before finally going down. The site is officially Marquette's, but it's just Alter holding control of it. Both of those players coming through the piece.
What?
Oh my goodness. The spam, it's too much.
Okay, these players need to, like, chill out with finding kills through the smoke, because they really shouldn't be given these opportunities. Marquette, you feel a little bit bad for them. The refrags were there, though. Villanova played that one very well. They played around a Reshiram's MP7, which had a little bit longer range efficacy compared to the MP9, at least compared to usual. MP9's really a coin flip. Heads, you hit them. Tails, you hit the floor. And apparently, Villanova called heads, and it landed in that round. They will again have 12 consecutive map points. This time, however, it's map, match, and series points. They've technically already won the series by a fairly large margin. It's just a matter of how much and whether it's 2-0 or 1-1 when push comes to shove. Trades are there, but still a 2, now 1 versus 4. Just Rich will find the first. Needs to clutch up, looking to do so for the team. Not gonna happen. Villanova make it a 2-0 series sweep, and Marquette are sent packing.
I think that just kind of leads you to ask the question, what is in that Villanova diet all of a sudden? I mean, we've seen, obviously, we talked a lot about the impact of bringing in people like Internet back, going on all cylinders. I mean, it's just so obvious that the chemistry between Cheney, Internet, and Kwanye, who have historically been pretty strong, and the addition of Vlack have just been such huge upgrades to both the quality of play in terms of mechanics, but also just the way the team is playing together with that experience under their belt. I mean, we talked about this ad nauseum already, but nobody expected this result from Villanova, and that could explain a little bit of what's happening with Marquette. Maybe they were so caught off guard that they just couldn't find their footing again. But, you know, under the leadership of Miggs, normally they're so good at those adaptations. And obviously we saw that change out from Audience to Oxygen for the second map, and it just wasn't enough in this case. So huge congratulations to Villanova for really making a statement here.
Yeah, and the flexibility wasn't there either for Marquette. Villanova, however, really showing how dynamic they can be. When they were on the T side, switching up when they needed to. When they were on the CT side, it was flexibility between sites when required, and notably, it was the speed on rotations and speed and efficacy of their retakes. Seemingly everything went the Wildcats' way. Marquette, unfortunately, cannot say the same. So no Migs interview this week. I believe the first time we will not have a Migs interview without at least them having a bye since Nationals. It's been a little while, but that does mean we get a new interview. We'll talk with Internet when we come back from the break, and then move on to our second series, which is RIT versus UConn. See you in a bit. The underdogs show up and show out, considering how ironic they are the Wildcats, no less. It's Villanova, a 2-0, 16-3 twice over, and Internet here for an interview on Time to Late. That's Viking, metaphorically, at least down below us, is Internet. And Internet seems like the ping, alongside a whole lot of the dinks, were in your favor in this series. Talk me through, at least at a cursory glance, the 2-0, because it looked definitive from you through and through.
Well, I think what it came down to today is we were really everyone on Villanova was firing on all cylinders. I mean, it felt like every shot, every fight was going our way, and maybe up against the Marquette that wasn't quite at full strength. So I think just the combination of those two is leading to the decisive victory today.
And I know we started off the season, you were down a couple players in terms of who your ideal starting lineup was, at least as we had heard from week one. New to this year, we see Cheney and Vlack specifically, and I know there's been coming and going. Can you talk to me about what it was like to bring them in? What kind of difference they've really made? I mean, like you said, everybody was kind of hitting on all cylinders so far, but those two players, especially on Vertigo, huge emphasis, and it seemed like it took a little of the pressure off you, who traditionally have been like either the B anchor or kind of that hope in a sometimes very dark cave for Villanova in season 3.
Oh yeah, it was so exciting to bring in Cheney and Vlack because they're two very strong players. They understand the game really well. They've played a lot of it. So like for me, it's a lot easier to IGL as well because they kind of they get it more. There's less explaining. And I mean, obviously, I think their aim is speaks for itself. So, but what I notice is really the like understanding of the game when if I'm dead and spectating them, they intuitively know what to do, and that's really nice to have on the team when you can just have players who can take initiative and win you rounds on their own almost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that
and
was pretty obvious in quite a situation. Go ahead, Dan.
I was saying not only that, but it seems like the flexibility of the team is there. You guys have that team chemistry you're really looking for. I don't know if anybody's chemistry majors, but they probably should be with how good this series looked. But looking at the team, it seems much more coordinated than not only last season, considering all the roster moves that you had week in and week out, but the cohesion really showing up into this week against such an opponent, whether it was full strength Marquette or not, considering their previous results with or without all 5 starting players, it's still something to look at and say, wow.
Yeah, I think that's a combination of the more experienced players being brought in, but also we've been playing together, pugging together a lot, and just practicing together a lot to really learn each other's play styles and get comfortable in it. And I mean that's probably we try and make it at least like a bi-weekly thing to play a couple pugs each night and really get the chem up. So I'm glad it shows.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I think we pointed out a couple times is not to go too much into the past, but in season 3, I think one of the differences that we saw is there were just like minor timing issues on rotations. Sometimes you would run into situations where somebody just gets caught out. There isn't a refrag opportunity, something to that degree. When we were specifically looking at Vertigo, a little bit on Inferno, but it seemed less important on that side. It seemed like, especially in mid play, you got beat there once, but then immediately you've got the pairing there. Everything's kind of coming back. Can you talk a little bit about how, if it goes beyond what you just said, the sort of buddy system or what's ultimately leading you to a position where that timing is so much better and those refrag opportunities are more consistently there?
I think it's well, for one thing, I know as far as timings go and like being aware on the map, Cheney definitely helps a lot with that because I know he's IGL'd for past teams. So when I'm primarying, I'm trying to keep track of a lot of things, but maybe I missed a few things here or there last season, for example, and now this season a lot less things are missed because I have like Cheney as kind of that second voice in there, keeping things like in control and knowing the situations better. And then also a lot, I mean, it probably isn't much more, unfortunately, to answer your question how you wouldn't want me to answer it. This is probably not much more than just the chem we've built by playing together a lot, having those buddy systems and stuff on rotations.
That's perfect. No, I appreciate that. And it was a pleasure to watch. I mean, definitely, as we've talked about several times, unexpected. Certainly no discredit to you. We just didn't really know what to expect over, the last 2 weeks and kind of the mismatches and forfeits and stuff that kind of kept you off stream from us.
Yeah.
But, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, a final question for you, Internet, as we always do. Anybody you want to shout out? Maybe the team, especially after a performance like this, or anybody that you please, or even final thoughts on the game itself. The floor is yours.
Oh, I definitely have to shout out the team for this one because it was really a team effort today. And I also want to shout out my sister. She's there. She watches my matches. I don't know why, but I appreciate her for it. So yeah,
Internet's sister, would that be wireless?
maybe.
Maybe
Thinking too hard, man.
Would it
I haven't thought about
uh
it.
I should have said Ethernet. That one would have been a little bit better. Nonetheless,
Yeah.
thank you very much for your time, Internet, and congratulations again on the victory.
Thank you.
Well, moving forward into our second series, it's RIT taking on UConn. Any final thoughts on this series before we throw it away, Tyler?
Absolutely lovely to see Internet and the rest of the gang on all cylinders there. Can't wait to see how Migs internalizes that and brings it back harder and stronger coming up next week. I'm sure they're not going to take that lying down. And I can't wait to see how the rest of the season plays out. So thank you again to everybody that's watching right now. Huge thanks to Villanova and Marquette. And can't wait to see how my alma mater RIT does up against UConn, currently in 4th place.
Well, for the time being, we still have a few minutes before our second series starts. So, in the meantime, if you'd like to go take a look elsewhere on the main stream, or the main Valorant stream, I suppose, as you'll see by the ticker on our break screen, it's the University of Delaware taking on St. John's in Valorant on twitch.tv/official EGF2, and then on official EGF3, it should be the University of Texas at Arlington taking on DePaul University. If you'd like to go watch either of those games, it's Valorant, not CSGO. I'm sorry, we only have one stream for Counter-Strike, but the aforementioned one stream will be back in about 20 minutes, so stick around. See you in a bit.